Well, hey, girl, hey. You back?
Part two.
You back? Hey, everybody.
Oh, that's cute.
You didn't know to do that?
I didn't.
Look, I didn't either.
Here's your cute. Oh, that is actually really cute. I think you gotta do two. Oh, okay. Let's not stop.
No, we can play with it till the people come in. Hey, y'all. Hey there.
That's
Hey.
too cute. Oh, let's see your nails. Oh, that's cute. I like this.
Yeah. So, until the people come in, how was your weekend?
My weekend was it was really fun.
Was it action packed?
Very much so. When I say this week, I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Okay, going to work though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Make sure we go. We always got to go to work.
Yeah.
Who is on with us? Good evening, everybody. We are back. We were just talking about our weekend. Has everybody had a good Memorial Day weekend?
Looks like everybody got to eat good and relax.
Yeah, I ate a little bit thanks to my daughter. Hey, girl, hey. I was pretty, well, I was going to say I was pretty tired. I don't know why I was pretty tired because I really didn't do anything this weekend.
Okay.
I went outside for a little bit yesterday, so that was exciting because I never get to really go outside. So,
I tell you to go outside, girl. It's nice weather.
Yeah, it was really nice outside. All right, well, welcome once again to the Queen Status Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and my daughter, Nija Smith. We are back again this weekend. Everybody loved you, and they was like, bring her back. Yeah, they was like, bring her back. Hey, Cookie. So I thought I would bring you back this weekend. So we were just talking about our weekend, waiting for everybody to jump on and see what's going on tonight. So just like last week, we want you guys to be a part of the conversation. Share it with the queen that you know so she can be aware of the things that we're talking about. Go to my website and check out all the new things that are going to be coming up. There are going to be different plans for affordable coaching. Hey, girl, hey. Affordable coaching and all kind of exciting things that are going to start coming up, and all that information will be on the website. So if you subscribe, it will let you know when the new things come out. And I think that the plans are like $14.99 a month, which is way cheaper than having a coach per hour. And you can go at your own time. You can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and do some stuff if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's all at your leisure. Hey, Sandra, thanks for joining us. So tonight, we're going to talk about femininity, which is one of my absolute favorite subjects. Femininity and how it teaches a woman to love a man and not men.
Okay.
And so there's a, hey, Michelle. Hey, girl, hey, where you been? And so that topic is full. It is like loaded.
Yeah, that's it.
Loaded. And so what I want to do, you nervous? Why you nervous, girl? What you nervous about?
That's a topic. It's a heavy topic.
Before we get started, I also want to invite you guys to subscribe to my YouTube page so that we can start going live on YouTube as well. It is at Nichelle the Boss. So just go subscribe. Even if you don't look all the time, just go subscribe to the page. Tell your girlfriends, sisters, and everybody to subscribe to the page so we can reach more people. We'll be on TikTok pretty soon as well. So tonight, we're going to talk about femininity and how it teaches you to love a man and not men. And so, like I said, it's loaded. But first, let me see if I can pull up. Let's talk about what femininity actually is, because most people just believe that femininity is putting on your lashes and wearing makeup and getting your nails done. And while it is all of those things, hey, Crystal, while it is all of those things, it's so much more than that. It is I want to call it our God-given power. I really don't want to say power, but for lack of a better phrase, I want to say it's our God-given power. And so, of course, we all know the story in the beginning. Hey, cousin, we know the story in the beginning and how God created us, and he created us in his liking. But he also created us women because Adam needed somebody. He was by himself. Everybody had somebody, and Adam didn't have anybody. And so he created us out of Adam's rib. in order to be what's called a helpmeet. And so in becoming a helpmeet, that femininity is crucial. It is crucial. And because we haven't really been taught a lot about it, women don't know a lot about what femininity is. And if they deal with femininity, they think it's because they get their nails done and they wear earrings and things like that. But in actuality, it is not. So let me read. There are several definitions. Hey there, Willie. How's your day going? We did our social niceties. Thanks so much for joining us. You guys shared this live. We're going to have a good time tonight. So femininity from the Bible's perspective encompasses a range of qualities and behaviors that reflect a unique strength and virtue of women as God created. It involves embracing the role of a nurturer, a helper, a supporter, as well as displaying characteristics such as gentleness, compassion, and wisdom. Proverbs 31:25-26 highlights qualities, which is what this podcast is based on. Yeah, this podcast is based on this scripture. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom and faithful instructions on her tongue. Yeah. So I always thought it was so interesting. Hey, Raquel. I always thought it was so interesting how God referred to wisdom as she or her in the female sense. And so being a woman all of my life, I believe he probably had to tell us women that, because sometimes we don't always act in wisdom. We act out of emotion. And when we act out of emotion, our wisdom usually does not show up. And so I believe that's the reason why God had to emphasize that. Even though he's talking about all of us when it comes to wisdom, he specifically singled us out as far as wisdom. And so wisdom is one of the key definitions of femininity, using your wisdom as far as guiding our families. And so we have gotten so far from the way God designed the family to work that now it's kind of hard for us to kind of get it back together. And we're wondering why that the families don't act the way, hey, Christine, the families are not the way that they used to be. It's because there's a certain role that we all play in the family. And of course, in modern day now, you hear people talking about it ain't no roles. It ain't no roles. He need to cook, and yes, he does. I agree with that. I agree that sometimes we need to share those things, but there are just certain roles within your family when you're dealing with your children, as far as nurturing. Can a man be a nurturer? He can at some times, but for the most part, that is in us. And the man is really supposed to lead. You know, a lot of times as women, we don't allow men to discipline our sons the way that we need our sons to be disciplined. And that's the reason why that our sons don't have the same work ethic that men used to have back in the day, you know, or whatever. So it's a lot to femininity, and we have brushed it off like it's nothing. So we're going to talk about it tonight. All right. So for you as a young lady, as a young 26-year-old lady, we kind of talked about it a little bit last week. How important is femininity to you? And have you thought about what role that it plays in your life? Because I remember when you were little, you were like, feminine, I don't want to do none of that. I would put tights on her to go to school, and she would come home with her tights all ripped up, and I would have to buy like a pair of tights every day.
I mean, because I got recess. You're buying tights,
girl. See, I didn't teach good femininity skills, you know, when she was growing up. Anyway,
but femininity means a lot to me, especially as a Black woman, because I feel like as Black women, we aren't allowed to be in spaces where we can practice in our femininity. You know, it just kind of, it always has reminded me of I'm trying to think of the lady who made the poem, but Ain't I a Woman?
Okay, I don't know.
You never heard it?
I have not.
But so in that poem, basically, just to paraphrase, you know, it was during slavery times, and so it's just like, you know, as a Black woman, I have to do all this manual work while white women are able to be pretty, they're able to be soft, and it's just like, well, ain't I a woman? Don't I deserve to be soft? Don't I deserve to be pampered? And so as a black woman, walking in my femininity and being able to be in spaces where I'm able to exude that means a lot to me. Mm-hmm. What was the second question?
I think I only asked one loaded question.
Oh, okay.
So the thing about that is, and that takes us to a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't know, everybody was telling me that the podcast was too short last week, but in order for you to be able to love a man and not lust for men, mm-hmm. there has to be a feminine space. Mm-hmm. Once we kind of come out of our feminine space and we have not had a man, and when I say a man, I mean a man, not a male. Mm-hmm. And this is not a space to bash men, mm-hmm. but we're going to talk about some things. We're going to be honest about mm-hmm. some things. When you are able to tap into your feminine wisdom, mm-hmm. You don't necessarily want to just entertain a male. Mm-hmm. You want to entertain a man. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times we move in spaces of loneliness, mm-hmm. Because black women are portrayed as mean girls, or angry, mm-hmm. and things like that. And sometimes, we are in periods where we don't have a partner. And so a lot of times that can make you act a little masculine or mm-hmm. whatever. You have to. And so with that being said, just because you're in a space where you've been put in a space mm-hmm. where you have to be a leader, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be masculine, mm-hmm. that you have to be hard. And that's one of the upswings to how things are going now that we're educating ourselves yeah. on how we do this thing, how we do single mothering and things like that. We can be in a space where we're not always in survival mode, because usually when we're in survival mode, that mm-hmm. is when we're in our masculine energy. Yeah. And you can even be in survival mode as a married woman. I was talking to a friend of mine. I have a book that I started writing years ago that I have not finished, called Married Living Single. And that is about married women who still live as single women. Meaning that they have a lot more to do than the average married woman would do while their husband is off doing whatever. She's taking care of the kids and taking them to soccer practice and this and that, and and so you're married, yeah. but you're living single. And so a lot of times, even with that clashes with you and your spouse, because now I feel like that I have to be the masculine one yeah. in the relationship. And so, we get out of our feminine space. And so that's a whole nother show. But today, when you use your wisdom, your femininity, your wisdom tells you how to move. Mm-hmm. It even shows you how to have good relationships. Hey, Shakira, good relationships with other women. Mm-hmm. Because your discernment kicks in, your wisdom, and your nurturing. You get to figure out what this woman needs, even if she comes in your space and she's real guarded mm-hmm. or she's really stern or whatever. That wisdom, once you tap into that wisdom, that nurturing, that what else did we say wisdom was? A helper, a supporter. Mm-hmm. So, in that, it's not just a supporter for a man or for mm-hmm. your husband. It's a supporter and a nurturer for everybody. Hey, queen, that you come in contact with. Mm-hmm. And so, as you mature as a woman, you just turned 26. Mm-hmm. You have a good group of friends. You guys are young professionals. I'm so proud. But there will come a time, mm-hmm. and I think you told me about a situation with you and one of your friends, that you will have to use that supporter mm-hmm. or that nurturer or that helper. Mm-hmm. What does Raquel say? I love Maya Angelou. Lots of poetry geared towards feminine energy. Yes, she did. Yeah. She had a lot. And if you think about her start, just think of, we ain't gonna talk about it, but if you think about how she started, before she was ever even famous, she was what was she? Wasn't a madam, but she was. She had some things going on a long time ago before she ever even got famous. So and so all of that wisdom mm-hmm. came out of her life experiences, mm-hmm. and so if you research her, I've done a lot of research on her. If you research her, she is a well of wealth. I mean, just endless wealth of knowledge and things like that, especially when it comes to femininity. And when I say femininity, I don't mean eyelashes. I mean the strength. Like the scripture says, she is clothed with strength and dignity. She oozed that. So, with that being said, when we're talking about loving a man, your femininity, your wisdom kicks in, because we were not necessarily most people's moms didn't sit them down and say, hey, this is how you choose a man. Okay. And if they did, I know I didn't for my daughter. And if they did, a lot of times they will tell you things that were not of substance. I'll say that. They'll tell you how to keep your house clean and different things like that. And that is wonderful. But at the same time, you have to get along with that man in a space. And so as Black women, we're very forward. And we have to understand when our softness comes into play, we can get a lot further with that softness, even if we looking at him thinking, you are a clown. You are really a clown right now. But if you use wisdom and not emotion, it allows you to get a lot further.
That's my problem. I say it out loud.
So tell me as a young woman, how is that a problem for you?
Saying it out loud?
No, the way you think and the way you act sometimes, and saying it out loud.
So
hey, Carol.
I guess.
Hey, Michael.
I guess for me it's a problem because, like you said, I am one of the Black women. I'm very forward. My friends, especially my male friends, would be like, "Nah, it's just mean," and I don't think I'm mean. I'll be like, I'm very forward, because if I don't like what you're saying, that's stupid.
You speak up, huh?
Yeah, that's stupid.
I'm very scared for her sometimes. I pray a lot for my daughter because she socializes a lot, and the world's a lot different now. So I got to put some prayer on her. She will.
I will say, now that I'm older, I've grown a lot. Because I'll say like around 21, 23. Well, from 18 to 23. Had no problem. If you want to argue, we can argue about it. I said what I said. And so I feel like
she this tall.
I don't care. If I say what I said, we can argue about it. I don't care. At the end of the day. And I used to tell men, I can call your mom and tell them, hey man, she did not do a good job.
I didn't teach her that. I did not teach her that.
She didn't, but I used to tell men, I said, hey, we can call her right now, but she did not do a good job.
Who tell somebody their mama didn't do a good job and you don't know them? What? We need this tonight.
If she would have told him, he wouldn't be acting like that.
Oh my goodness.
I digress. So I don't do that anymore. Nowadays, if I feel like, a young man is talking and I'm just really not feeling it, I feel like I can articulate it in a way where I'm just like, I can gather you together. We ain't gotta go there, but I'm gonna gather you together, and this will be our last time talking. It's okay. It was nice talking to you.
Well, that's a little better. I mean, that was wisdom, and it's very forward. There's nothing wrong with being forward, and it doesn't mean that you're not feminine just because you're forward.
Okay.
So what made you come to a conclusion that you needed to change up how what your approach was?
My friends, I remember. We was having a girls' night, so because my guy friends used to say, and I'm like, oh y'all soft. I used to think to myself, y'all sound soft, but they're not soft. My friends, y'all not soft, I promise. But I used to get offended when my guy friends used to tell me, because I'd be like, of course men would tell me. But we was having a girls' night one time, and one of my, I can't remember what the topic was. But one of them was like, they was just like, Naja be ready to get a man together. Naja take it there. And I was just like, and everybody was like, yeah, girl, Naja, you be da-da-da-da. And I was just talking about different incidents where I had got into it with a guy or whatever, just out. And I was just like, whew. It was a little hot in here. I was like, y'all see me like that? Like, I be acting like that?
So let me ask you, what made you, in your younger years, what made you have that aggressive approach?
I guess I used to think to myself, like,
Hey, Tanya.
I guess in terms of men and how they treat women, I guess I was always the one like, well, I'm gonna show you something different. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna make sure you think twice before doing this to somebody else. Because I just feel like with the dating pool in general, both men and women, there's entitlement. And so there were just some situations where I was like, oh, you really think you that cute to treat me?
Wow.
So I'm going to teach you that. I'm going to bring you down here. And so the next time you think about it, remember me. Please do.
She's this big. Oh my God. Who did I raise? What are
you got? You're at your big age. You acting like that?
And so, you know, just kind of not really skipping to something else, but just because of that, you know, how you saw me and you pictured me or whatever. I had a conversation with a young man a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about relationships. And he's a younger, he's in his 30s, he's older than you. And he basically said that the way Black women are nowadays, they don't deserve to be loved. Oh my! As a coach, in my head, I'm using emotional intelligence because in my head, I'm like, pow, pow, pow. I really don't know what his reason is. I didn't have a chance to do a lot of talking. But to hear him, to hear him actually say,
you thought about it, process it,
and you still said that, even though your mom is a woman, and I'm sorry, I keep bumping this table. Your mom is a woman. And so my thing is, if he thinks that, there are a lot of other men that think that as well. But anyway, we're kind of
continue to date Black women.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does.
Okay.
But we're getting off the subject, kind of. So, you know, when we're talking about loving a man versus men, we can easily, because of the way that we've been catechized and how things have happened or whatever, and how we've had to raise our kids alone, the majority of us or whatever, we do get in a more masculine space. And then a lot of women become lonely. They want to have relationships and different things like that. And so, hey, Tanya, I always tell women, you should have an idea of what kind of man it is that you're looking for. You don't necessarily have to stick to that list, but you need to have an idea. Not just, it can't be that he's a male. That's not what you're looking for. You're not just looking for a guy. And in doing that, and tapping into your femininity, it allows you to weed out the people who are no good for you. Because what I'm hearing is a lot of people are coming in contact. Boy, that pee in the pool, in the dating pool, just cracks me up. But I think some of it is our fault because we don't do our due diligence to say, hey, this is the type of man I'm looking for. And I always tell people that it needs to be a purpose partner. A lot of times we as women fall in love with potential, and not purpose. And baby, potential is, I'm telling you can learn a lot from a stunt dummy. And I just think that's
one of the most greatest things you told me in terms of dating. You told me that when I was 17, and at the time, I'm hearing it, but I didn't get the gist of it, and I truthfully didn't understand it until after like my first breakup. And like,
oh, we was all so sad.
Oh man, I thought I was gonna die.
But so what made you think back to what I told you?
Because, you know, after the breakup and after, you know, healing myself back from sickness, I realized, you know, not to talk about him, but at the time, the type of level that I was on and that he was on, I helped a lot for him to get to even the level that he left me at. You know, it's just not to just talk about him. You know, when it came to school, I had got into college. You know, he had unfortunately got rejected, and that was just gonna be that. So I was like, well, I can't have no boyfriend that ain't in college. So you're gonna have to figure something out. And I helped him. I helped him. You know, I found out what he can do to get it appealed. I did the research, and I did the work for him. Helped him with his letter. You know, I think I even wrote his letter.
Oh wow.
And no, let's not talk about it.
I didn't know that.
Let's not talk about it. You know, it hurts my heart to talk about it.
But it's a learning experience.
Yeah. And so, you know, after all that and helped him with his application or whatever, you know, he was able to get in. And so, you know, helping you and encouraging you through all that, whatever, and then 2 years later you cheat on me? That is crazy.
Yeah, and that happens, and a lot, for whatever reason, our society indirectly, and I think it was a man probably started it, and we picked up on it. I remember back in my day, people talked about gold diggers and things like that, and now that I'm older, hey, there's a big difference in somebody who is a gold digger and somebody who desires to have somebody to provide for them like you're supposed to. And so we've all fallen in love with potential because we see something in a person, and there's nothing wrong with seeing something in a person. It's something very wrong with doing the work. Like you wrote the letter, that's mothering. That's not I think sometimes women will choose a guy and feel she can mold him into the man that she wants him to be. Correct. And you cannot mold a man into what you want him to be. You cannot play that God role. And so for me, I had to learn, look how old I am before I learned that when God made Adam, Adam had everything he needed. Eve didn't have to be no ride or die chick. No. Eve didn't have to come in there talking about let me go to work, let me get my hustle on so I can help you, level up and do whatever. Adam had everything he needed. All he needed Eve for was to help him manage all the stuff that he had. And so where that's concerned, we're not just talking about they talking about these what is it, high maintenance, high level men, or high value man, or whatever that is. We're not talking about that, because just because you meet a man and his finances are not top tier doesn't mean he's not a good man. What you're looking for is someone who is genuine, who is loyal, who loves God, and he loves you, and he needs to demonstrate that. And back in the day, people would tell us at early ages to get married. I no longer tell young people to get married early. I don't suggest that at all, because marriage is not just having a wedding and trying to figure out what to do. There are specific roles that God designed for it to work. And if we do it, we see that if we do it outside of that, it does not work. I don't care who you are. You see people that have been married for 25, 35, 45 years, and then they get a divorce. Hey, Bianca. Hey, Dion. And so, they're together all these years, 25, 35, 45 years, and then they get a divorce. And a lot of that comes from, when we get married, most people have kids right away. So then you got kids, and then they're growing up, and one's going to soccer, one's going to football, one's going to cheerleading. So, mothers especially are always running around. And after you do that for 18 years, you don't know who your spouse is anymore. So once the kids grow up and they start, getting out or whatever, it becomes you and your spouse. You got to learn who your spouse is again. And you even have to learn who you are. So with that, if you picked based on potential, or if you picked based on looks, and now you meeting this man 18 or 20 years later whom you've lived with all this time, you like, I don't even know who he is, and he don't know who I am. And so if you're choosing your partner based on purpose, that tells you something. You have something that stays in common between you two. There's something that keeps you connected, that you can go back to on a regular basis, and you're still interested in each other, even when the kids grow up. So what I mean when I say femininity teaches you to love a man versus lust for men, is a lot of times women will be lonely because they've been single or whatever. And like I said, just a male will do, and that's not gonna work. And they think, like she said, well, I'll take him and I'll mold him into what I need him to do. Well, that's not gonna work, because as soon as you level him up, he gonna outgrow you, because y'all didn't pick based on purpose. He picked you based on you being able to level him up. To give him $5 or $10 or whatever. So you can't pick for that, and you can't expect that to work because you're not doing it the way that it was designed to be done. And so that's what I mean. You know, a lot of times we're women, you know, and I'm not saying anything's wrong. Well, we've all done it. Women will think, hey, you know, they might go to an event or whatever, and he's real nice looking. You know, let me see what he's talking about. And then you guys date for a week or so, and then you're intimate after a week. I don't understand. I still don't know you from a can of paint. And so once that happens, you guys have created a covenant. You, especially as a woman, your emotions are all in this thing in a week or 2 weeks or even a month. That's still, you still don't know somebody that soon. And so when you figure out who you are as a person, I always tell people, understand what your purpose is. Because a lot of people don't. Hey, Kamika. A lot of people don't know what their purpose is. Why were you put on earth? Yeah, we know that we're here to praise God and different things. We have individual purposes. And a lot of times your purpose comes out of whatever pain that you've dealt with. Whatever you feel passionate about is usually what your purpose is. And I tell women, if you pursue your purpose, the man will find you. It usually, when you are in purpose, you are illuminated as a woman. It's almost like that you really have superpowers. You know what I mean? Because you're able to do whatever it is that you're doing so well because God created you specifically for that reason. A lot of times when we're at the church, people will say things. I was saying this last week. You know, people say, oh, you have so much energy. It's not that I have so much energy. It's just I'm supposed to be where I'm at. And so a lot of times things will come easy for you when you're moving in purpose. And I've even been able to meet different people that I wouldn't normally meet. And that's because of purpose and different things like that. I can move in a way that maybe I normally would not move. And so when you're in purpose, hey, Sharita, when you're in purpose, rather than having to look for, oh, I'm lonely. Oh, I want to experience being married. I want to go out to dinner. I want somebody. And I understand that. That is a good feeling to know that somebody really thinks about you on a regular basis and cares about you on a regular basis. But at the same time, if there's a way to do it when you know someone is genuine from the start, rather than learning that they're really not genuine 5 years later or whatever, you know, why not do it that way? And so we have to learn to love ourselves. And so in loving yourself, that's where your femininity shows up, because you got to love who you are and how God made you. And so if you tap into your superpowers, your woman's superpowers, your nurturing, your help, your support, if you're always tapping in, trying to be a help to somebody else, whatever that is, be the person that you needed back there. That's how your purpose gets started. You know, and so if you're the person that you needed in a time of hardship, God usually taps in and shows you exactly which way you're supposed to go with this purpose thing. And so once you work on, we talked about the list when we first got started. You should have a list for the type of man that you would like to entertain. Be those things that are on that list. You can't say, hey, I want a high value man who makes $600,000 a year. And this, you can want that, and ain't nothing wrong with it. That's not what I'm saying. But you can't be fooling around over here playing games and you not trying to level yourself up, and you want to be in the company of someone who is on that level. You don't want to feel insecure in his presence, and that won't be his fault. That'll be your fault because you know you didn't level up. And so I would say that you know, when I was younger, we went out, we hit all the clubs and whatever, and I'm not ashamed of it, not at all. I enjoyed living my young life. I don't think that I would be the woman of God that I am had I not had those experiences. And when I look back, I know God's hand was on my life even back then when I didn't even know it was. But I will say that a lot of my experience has come from a lot of those things that have gone on. And so when you can't blame somebody else for having bad relationships, because as women, we see red flags and we act like we don't see them. And we think, like she said, we can mold them and, oh, he'll change. Yeah, a man's going to change if he wants to. There is nothing and I mean nothing, that you gonna do, because that one thing that everybody thinks that they can do that's gonna change them, I ain't gonna say what that one thing is, but we all know what that one thing is. Let me tell you a secret. Come real close.
Girl.
Everybody got one. Everybody. Okay. So let's not fool ourselves on that. Hey Flo, let's not fool ourselves on that. That might keep for a while, but he gonna get tired of that, especially if he's not the one for you. If he's not, he's gonna start looking elsewhere, as you know. So he gonna see how many notches he could put under his belt. I don't know what they say now. I know that's old. They don't say that no more.
Don't say notches.
Okay, sorry. I'm
When
sorry.
they say that?
A long time ago, when I was young, they said that.
Oh,
but I'm just saying that to say, and especially as we get older, if we would you say, yeah, baby, he will. Hey, Destiny. But he will. I mean, he will eventually look elsewhere, because if you did not tap into purpose, if you don't have any substance, it doesn't matter at all. After a while, he's going to hit the road, and he's going to be searching for somebody who has that substance. And so for me, I would have to say, you have to be someone who stands out, and that's you. There's no way that you can walk out here and say, hey, I'm going to be completely different from the next person. The only way that you can do that is just be you. All of us were made uniquely. There's something that you can do that I cannot do. There's a presence that you bring to the room that I don't bring to the room. And there's a man that's looking for whatever that presence is that you have. So bless everybody's heart for getting their behinds done and breasts perked up. Ain't nothing wrong with getting your stuff perked up, but make sure you're getting it perked up for the right reasons, and not, to be seen or by a man. Because if you think about it, all these plastic surgeons do the same work. Everybody's shape look the same. You know what I mean? And so it's that, we as women, we do a whole lot, and we really could keep ourselves from having a lot of heartache if we put strategic strategies in place. Like God says, commit your works. Well, when he says commit your works, that means everything. It don't just mean some things. So commit to bettering yourself to God, so that he can illuminate you, so that man, not men, can be on your mind. Because if you are a person, if you're dating somebody and you guys don't work out, and you go out Saturday and you see somebody else that's nice looking, and you start talking to him on the phone or whatever, nothing wrong with being friends. That's not what I'm saying. But if your whole strategy is to be out looking for someone, you're going to find what you're looking for. Nothing. There's no substance, in that. And so I would have to say, if you talk to men now, let men tell it. Women are just as scandalous as they are. I don't know any. I don't have, my friend circle ain't like that. I'm being serious. My friend circle is not like that, and I don't know if it's because I'm not dealing with no foolishness or whatever. But the women that I associate myself with, they don't have that problem. But a lot of men will argue. Hey, Jackie. A lot of men now will argue that women are on them games as well. So what's your experience?
It's definitely a generation gap. I will say, like I said in the last podcast, that it's the dating pool seems to be filled with like games. Like nobody, people are trying to like outdo the other in terms of not appearing to care as much. Even though at the end of the day, everybody wants to be loved. No one wants to show their hand. Nobody truly wants to, I guess, be vulnerable. And then I want to say one of the reasons to blame for that is society, in terms of like, if you even listen to our music.
Yeah, y'all music is horrible.
Hey man, it's a vibe.
Horrible.
We young and turned out here. But with being young and turned,
and you guys can help us too. Whatever your opinions are, put them on the screen so we can read them.
With being young and turned, even like the song, me personally, I love the song.
Oh, it's a song called Young and Turned.
No.
Sorry.
No, with the song with Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla. Love that song, not gonna lie. But, in terms about,
Hey, Angela.
He don't want to be saved, don't save them, And it just they just talk about how a man can't have me, and I literally don't want a man. And you know, to some extent, very true.
And as a young single person, I don't think anything's wrong with that.
And so it's just like, you know, at this point in the age, then you also got city girls. You got a lot of songs nowadays that's basically talking about, I'm cool by myself. I mess with you. I just want to mess with you. Truthfully, at the end of the day, if you really want to talk about it. And men have always made songs in that nature. And so I think what's changed is the women have came back and been like, I really don't want much more from you than just this one thing. So.
Well, I guess my question would be, I don't know if I hope you don't have an answer. Real bad, I hope you don't have an answer. So I guess my question would be the generation gap. How's that working? How's it working for women?
In terms of like, I mean, it's just all about what a woman really wants in that point in her dating time. You know, if there are some women, I do know some women who are at a stage in their life where they don't want a relationship. They're not focusing on marriage, whatever. They just want to have fun. I will say my generation is very sexually liberated.
Is that what y'all call it?
I mean, that's the words, technical words.
See how society will trip you up sexually liberated. It sounds good, but that's why people's breaking out folks' windows and setting cars on fire and all that. Because you're sexually liberated.
That's also very true, you know. But it's just like it's people moving, trying to. It's I won't say everyone's doing it, but a lot of people are wearing a mask, wearing a facade, and saying this is all I want is this, whatever. But truthfully, you have feelings about this person, but you're not trying to. No one wants to be vulnerable.
And I guess for me, I would have to say this: I'm not. Listen, they got it twisted. Guys nowadays be talking about they the prize. I don't know where that came from. That a man is a prize. What I should have done is I should have found that scripture, because we need to go to church on that one, because it clearly says that women are the prize. And so I can't blame men, because we just throw it around so frivolously like it's nothing, and then we get mad when they treat us the way that our generation is sexual. Then we get mad when they treat us the way that they act. You know what I mean? And so they act in a way that's contradicting what they really feel. And so that is the reason why society is so messed up. That's what I mean when I say women can literally change the world. Because if we operate in our feminine energy and our feminine power, what that says to you, that wisdom that we talked about, is, boy, you ain't doing nothing over here. That's what you're not gonna do. And I think, to me, in just my personal opinion, there's a power in that. There's a power in having self-control. There's a power in saying, no, you ain't about to spend the night with me and do nothing, bro.
You say,
bro, that's what you're not gonna do. You better go on over there. We could laugh and talk if we out in the social space, but other than that, you go your way and I'm gonna go mine, because ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing going. We ain't gonna turn up over here. We ain't turning up over here. I got stuff to do tomorrow, boy. And so then on top of that, I guess when I watch the young men now, they're able to come to, the young ladies any kind of way. You give them your body. They ain't got no money. And I'm not saying, but I'm saying, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not going to deal with you. You ain't got no money. We not going to spend the night together. It's not going to happen. And so, men have gotten to a point. Hey, Chantel, a lot of men have gotten to a point now. Yep. You got to set boundaries. That the money thing is talked about even more than the sexual part. They want to make sure, hey, what you bring to the table? How much money you got? And I don't mind sharing no money with somebody who says that he gonna love me forever and give me his last name and say that he's gonna be a leader and a provider. Yeah, I'll share my money with you. But if you ain't saying that, then all we can do is say, hey, when we see each other out. And I guess I wish that young women nowadays could move in that power. They wouldn't have so much heartbreak, heartache, single mom stuff going on or whatever. Single mom stuff going on. And so when you're moving in a way, when you're moving like that, you are dealing with lust.
Yeah.
You know, so lust makes you move from one man to another. Oh, that didn't work out. So because that didn't work out, let me move on to Russell and see what Russell talking about. Russell ain't talking about nothing either. You know, if you don't take your time to see, hey Lolita, to see what a person is about and what a person is made of, then, you know, what does it say? Lots of lust and looking for that model man. Yeah, I mean, but, you know, looking for that model man, you're not going to find him through your lust.
That makes me think of like, when we had that I can't remember when we had that conversation, but where we had a conversation where we talked about types and like, you know, is looking for your type beneficial? Because for me, you know, I'm very stuck in my ways.
Girl, let me tell you, she showed me one more little knucklehead boy with dreads. They all look like they brothers. I don't know where she get them from, but we don't see that when we're in the lust. And you are so correct. We don't. And that's what I mean about leading.
And you just slid past that.
Oh, sorry. What you say, baby? Go ahead.
I'm talking about, you talking about they look like brothers, first of all.
Oh, okay.
First of all.
Oh, Lord, she about to get me together. Hold on, y'all.
You know what we gonna do?
They all look alike.
Wow.
But you give away your power. I mean, they used to say that to us back in the day, but you literally do give away your power because now you can't think clearly. You can't see clearly. You can't see clearly what you're doing or what you're thinking about because now you created this soul tie with this knucklehead dude that got about $10 in the bank or whatever. He can't buy him a Happy Meal or you either.
Oh.
You know, and then we look past the red flags, and because he can only buy a half of a Happy Meal, then we say, oh, don't worry about it, I got it, I'm gonna get you together. And then we be talking about this ride or die chick. I do not know very many men. Now, I believe the Bible. I believe it from Genesis to Revelations. I promise I do. And God said that women are the prize, and the way that he set this thing up is you know, that we're supposed to sustain. I'm not judging nobody, but the older I get, and I have a daughter, the older I get, the better it is to do it the best way that you can, as close to how God designed it to be, so that you don't have the heartache that a lot of women have. A lot of women are beat down. A lot of women are not moving in their purpose because they're so torn down because their self-esteem has been taken. Then you got to build it back up because he done ghosted you and you wondering why he done ghosted you. No shacking because some men will not commit. That part, don't never move in. We not moving in. We say so true. So, you know, a lot of times we, no judgment, honey. You all right. Say, you okay. You all right. It's gonna be okay. But the thing about it is, and I've just learned in my life, there were a lot of times that my self-esteem was down, was in the toilet, because I'm thinking, hey, what's happening here? What is going on? I'm this confident person and blah 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 blah, and now I don't feel so confident because I done dealt with this knucklehead or whatever, and it wasn't like I thought it was gonna go or whatever. But that comes from not using that list, know what it is that you're looking for, and just saying, oh, he's cute, and let me see what he's talking about. No, he ain't talking about nothing. He ain't talking about absolutely nothing. You know, and I'm willing to say, and of course, all of us want somebody that's easy on the eyes. I mean, nobody wants to say, oh, God, I can't even look at him, girl. Hey, Tony, I can't even look at him. Well, I don't believe God's going to send us somebody that we can't look at. He knows what we like. You know, so I don't believe that. But I do know that when you get to know a person, have you ever worked at a job and there was a man at your job and just looking at him, you like, he's all right. He ain't all that. But then about 6 months later, because y'all work together, you be like, he is really a nice guy and he smells good and all of that. That's because you guys have gotten to know each other as a person. You got to know what's in a person's heart. And a lot of times if you take your time and not move off of the outward appearance, you can get to know things before you give up all of your special stuff. Hey, Tangy D, before you give up all of your special stuff. and then you thinking, now I done gave him all this and he ain't got $5. Tangi would tell you, we lived our young life. We did. When I say I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, I've been a woman of God all my life and I was rocking with Jesus at 5 years old in kindergarten. And I was saying, because I was not doing that. I was going to church. But I'm telling you, once I got old enough to get out and experience life or whatever, we went to clubs every single night from Sunday to Saturday, every night. We went to work, but we went to clubs. And so, we had a lot of experience dealing with different men, and we chose those kind of men for years. For years, we chose people that weren't about the right, wasn't thinking about doing the right. He didn't know what he was doing. We didn't know what we was doing. And we just trying to make it work, And so you don't have to do that. You tap into your feminine power, into that wisdom that God has given us. And we run into, like I said, we're illuminated and they see us and then they choose. Along with that feminine energy and power, I believe that you are a wife before you become a wife. And I don't just mean that you know how to cook. I mean that you learn how to be a helpmeet. And one thing that we can learn from being feminine and having the wisdom and the nurturing and the support of being feminine is a lot of Black women hate the word submission. And I don't know, a lot of women my age, even women at church, hate the word submission. And submission is not a bad word. Submission just means to come under the mission. But because we don't do our due diligence when dating and coming in contact with somebody with the opposite sex, we just pick a man and he don't even have a mission.
Yeah.
So if he don't have a mission, it's nothing for us to submit to. He don't have to have all the money. He just got to have a mission, a plan for us to submit to. And when he has a plan for us to submit to, it works a whole lot better. It's a purpose. It's basically what it is. And so we've decided to come under this purpose and to help him with this purpose and to guide him through what he's got going on. And the more we guide him, the better and the easier it is for him to lead our family, which means you as the feminine part of the family, it's better for you to nurture, help, support, and give him encouragement in him doing what it is that he's supposed to do. So with that being said, we move too fast. Like you said, you're a young woman, you're dating. It's okay to date. You just don't sleep with people. You can have a relationship without saying, hey, I got to test the waters and see what the water got going on. You can have those relationships, because I'm telling you, some of you ladies that are close to my age, as you get older, that is very important in the relationship. But there's some other things, there's some providing that needs to go on too as you get older. I'm not trying to be an old woman and sitting here and we counting out our $5 so we can go get a chicken sandwich. I ain't doing that.
Not this big age.
No, I'm not doing that. I want to travel. I want to do some things or whatever. And so I need to find a purpose partner that is interested in the same things that I'm interested in. So no, we not doing that. We not about to roll around. You probably ain't, these guys ain't even gonna know where I live. Do you hear me? They not gonna know. You're not coming over.
I'm
gonna meet you. Yeah, I'm gonna meet you somewhere, but you're not coming over. And so how hard is it with your generation to abstain?
Oh,
I'm her mama.
It's to be true, it's very hard because, like I said, we're a very sexual liberated generation. So,
but do you think as women, is it very hard, or is subconsciously, do you guys think, well, if I don't do this, then I'll never have a man?
It might be like that for some women. Truthfully, I mean, just in my just for me, it's just hard because it's just like, there's always that temptation, especially if you look good. It's kind of like, oof.
Well, if he ain't at your house, you don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, but he can invite me to his house.
Yeah, I ain't going.
It depends. So,
what, huh? I'm turning your location on.
Oh. But to be truthful, it is hard, especially if, y'all vibing. And like for me, I'm really big on someone who's a conversationalist. I like somebody who can, I can debate with. 'Cause as you know me, yeah, I have opinions, and so if I'm talking to you, whatever, and you just talk about some, that's cool, whatever. I'm just kind of like,
I hate that.
Yeah, because I'm talking to myself.
You spit it out.
But it's like, for me, I would say for me, it's all about intellect. You have to be an intellectual for me. And so, it does get hard. If I'm talking to, especially if you my type, and then we're having good thank you.
Precious, don't get a whooping.
I'm just saying. We talking, and I'm like, wow, you are really smart, and, we're having good conversation. It's getting a little hot.
That just makes you tingly?
It does, because I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And so.
How many bank accounts you got?
And that's the thing,
She right, Sharita.
That's a thank you. That's what I'm saying. It gets a little tough. Because it's just like, okay, because it's easy, at least for me. You might look good or whatever, but if you come at me a certain way or you don't know how to even though I say game, if you don't know how to have, if you don't got game or whatever, you can't have a conversation with me. It kind of just stops right there or whatever, because that's easy. Because then it's kind of like, we're not really talking about nothing. Or if you're not consistent, one of my biggest pet peeves is, and that's true.
Glitters ain't gold.
That
You're
is
right
very
about
true.
that.
But it's also, the one guy that I was telling you that is inconsistent with communication.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, he's he's fine. He's cute to me. But it's just kind of like, I can't connect.
And I mean, for me, that matters.
Yeah.
That matters when you're not consistent. Don't.
So that part's easy.
Tell me that you're going to do something and then you're not. And don't, if I text you, you text me back 3 days later, you don't have to worry about it. That's a ghost for you. It's not going to happen. So, I understand what people are talking about when they say it's pee in the pool, but I do believe that you have to teach people how to treat you. Ooh, that is huge, yeah. You have to teach people how to treat you. And if you are dealing with a young man who is not feeling you, if you're not ready to roll around or whatever, then you know that he wasn't the one for you in the first place, And it's not a matter of the 90-day rule, or it ain't none of that. We all just gonna be grown here. It's when we both say that it is, and that's what it is. And I'm not saying that I'm this super saint and whatever and never trip up or do anything wrong or anything like that. But at the same time, I just have a problem at my age, especially when the Bible says that we are the prize. This is the ultimate prize here, so if it's the ultimate prize, we ain't throwing frisbees here, now. So it's not going to be that. It's not going to be just throwing stuff around or whatever.
I feel that.
Go ahead.
I feel like, I'm really big on teaching people how to treat you. Because a lot of times we don't set up those boundaries in the beginning, and it causes problems later on, because it's just like, well, you used to allow this, at one point in time, why is it trying to change? And so it's just like, I try my best to establish those very early on. Like with the young man, we were only talking for about a month, and so I was like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't talk anymore. And I had to, eventually tell him, think twice before texting me. When you want to, when you have the thought of, I should text Nigel, think twice.
Oh, wow.
Just
that's a decent way to tell him.
Yeah, and so he texted, I just left it there. Because it's just like, I get out, and I try to tell guys all the time, not your girl. I'm not trying to nag you about it. I'm putting it in your hands. I'm letting you know, hey, in order for this to really continue, I would prefer consistent communication. I'm not saying you got to text me back at 2.2 seconds, just consistent.
That part.
And so if you can't do that, like I said, after a month, I had called him. I was really nice. So I was like, hey, how was your day? We're having a good conversation. I was like, oh, I just want to talk to you about something real quick. And I was like, yeah, I just don't think we should ever speak again. And he was just like, and I was like,
didn't see that coming.
And that's what he said. He was like, I just didn't expect to have this conversation today. And I said, yeah, I done told you twice about the communication, and it hasn't changed. And I just think our trial's up. You're real cool people. If I was to see you out, I would still say, hey. I just don't really think we're good.
Well, and not just because you're my daughter. Most guys are not used to that type of response, number one. I think if you spend some time, consistency is key. I think if you spend some time showing people what your other values are first, I think they will even respect that. You know what I mean? They might not feel it at first, but I think they will respect that. I'm the same way. Yeah, she is.
As you should be. That's too much rigmarole.
And then I think that it's really fun to be able to date correctly, effectively. There's nothing wrong with being a single woman and you date a few people, meaning you're dating them, not sleeping with them. And so in dating them, you're being honest up front. Hey, I'm a single person. I do have a couple other friends that I see, but I like to get to know people before I allow them into my space and or my circle. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah.
Because you're being completely honest. You already let him know, hey, we ain't rolling around, so let's see what's up, you know, and then we have to revisit that another time or whatever. But that keeps you from going through people. These people are still friends. It's not, you know, and especially when you have kids. You don't have kids, but especially when you have kids, you know, you don't want to bring 5 or 6 different people through your house in 6 months or whatever, and they meeting your kids or doing whatever. You want to be focused on what it is that you're looking for, but while you're doing that, you're building yourself, you're leveling up yourself, you know, and then that allows you, the key is not sleeping. And that's what I was telling him. I'm telling you, as you get older, it ain't going to be that big of a deal. I'm not saying that it's not. That is, you got to, you know, we got to have that going on. But at the same time, it's not that big of a deal as you progress in your life. I'm telling you, it's not. Once you level up to the woman that you are, where you're going, because we always evolve. Bring back the old days of just courting each other. Yeah, let's just have fun. Why do we have to be so, you know, everything has got to be this or that? Just have fun. We're going out on Thursday. What we doing? Karaoke or whatever? Okay, we doing karaoke. And that's it and that's all. We talk on the phone. You text me, hey, how's your day? You know, you want to do lunch or whatever. And let's just have fun. How about that? My friend Tangi, I think she's on here. We used to all go out and we would go over her house and we would all just spend the night at the house. It would be 19,000 of us in her apartment. And it was fun. You know, it wasn't any pressure or none of that going on the way that it is nowadays. And people are just at a point where people's lives are dispensable. And I don't say that in you know, people killing people, but people are at a point where now they don't even care about the next person's feelings. At all. Yeah. You know, of course we
very much that.
Yeah, you know, we knew back in the day it's always gonna be one clown that was like that. But nowadays it's everybody. It's like like the Bible says, in the last days people will be lovers of themselves. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we protect our hearts. And so in being able to protect your heart, slow it down. Yeah. You know, don't move so fast. Don't, you know, like as women, when we meet somebody, he's nice looking and his voice sounds nice, and he texts me every morning and says, good morning, beautiful, and all that stuff. And we already writing his last name behind our name and crazy stuff like that. Now, he could be a serial killer. Yeah, he could be a serial killer or a rapist or anything. You know, you don't know what he got going on. But we just don't do our homework. And I think when you get to a place as a woman, going back to purpose, you know what your purpose is. You don't have time for nobody to be coming up in here messing up your purpose and getting you all off your square. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing it will do: when them emotions get off track, I don't care what level of game that you on, it throws you off that square, and you have to build yourself back up to that square. By that time, you done lost time in what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time, because he gonna go on about his business and do whatever it is that he needs to do, you know. And so we don't want to be in that place. We know who we are. We know that our emotions can get in it and cause us to be off our square. So don't allow yourself. You already know this about how things go on. So don't allow it to make you get off of your square. Stay on your game, you know, and keep it moving. And what I will say about men is, and I have definitely learned this, if he did not say it, he don't mean it. Yeah. I don't care what you thought. He applied. He implied.
Taking a step further, because sometimes men will say it. If one thing that I've learned or whatever is that men are creatures of action. If he said it and didn't do it or whatever, but he keeps saying like, he keeps saying like, oh, I'm gonna do this, or he's talking all this, whatever, but does not do it, that man does not feel that way about you.
That part.
Men, if they want something, they actively pursue it. Whether it's a job, school, anything.
Wife.
Yeah. So men are creatures of action, and so it's just like, if he's not actively pursuing you, he's not actively courting you or whatever, he does not feel
He's a clown.
Yeah, he does not feel that way. He might like you, and that's the one thing I've also learned. He might like you.
But the thing about it is, just tell the truth.
And so that's the thing.
I like you as a friend. And if you're good with it, and I'll call you on Thursday, we go to karaoke. Say that.
And it can all be that easy, but it's just like, at the time, it's a lot of games. Like I said, it's a lot of games. It's a lot of rigmarole. It's a lot. And so, in situations where we could just be grown and just have that conversation of what this is, what are you looking for? Then I can tell you what I'm looking for.
So I'm noticing that a lot of people want control.
Yeah.
It's manipulation. Yeah. You really don't even want this person in that way, but you'll say what you think they want to hear in order for you to keep control. Why do you even want control over somebody who you really don't even like that? That is crazy.
It could be like the physical benefit of it all. The physical, then it's also the emotion, like just the thought of like, oh, this person really want me. For real. And it's just like, it's a lot that can go into it. There's so many different avenues of why people do that. And so it's just...
She's so smart.
I tried. But it's a lie. There's so many different ways to play into it. There's manipulation. There's the physical benefits of it. And then it's just that validation. Oh, that's the biggest one. It's the validation.
Dominique said toxicity is the new norm. You right about that, niece.
Yes, you already know. Because it's just like... And then like, 'cause social media plays so much into that. Like with toxicity, I'm so glad you say that, because... There's so many different couples that we see in social media, like Blueface and what's her name, Krishan. We got E.
Is that the girl that had the baby?
Yeah, and she got tattoos in his face everywhere. Then you got, for like my TikTok people, E. Kane and Chris. It's like E. Kane is like a young girl, beautiful, really talented in terms of doing hair or whatever. But her and she's very upfront, whatever. But her and her baby daddy be fighting, whatever. She having...
And see, that's the bad part for me. For those of us who rock with Christ, and Jackie Foster's on here. Her and her husband are a really good example of a couple that show public displays of affection with a godly marriage. We don't see enough of that. Number one, the people that you just named, I don't really know who they are to start off with. But if those are the only examples, that's real sad. Yeah, that is really sad.
And it's not even that those are the only examples. Like I said, like Donnie said, toxicity is the new normal. So it's just like the wilder the couple, whatever, that's mostly to go viral, especially with my younger, like with the younger generation, whatever. And a lot of people feed in to delusion. And, it's not relationship related, but, like the one post that I was telling you about, you and Monty about the other day, and how it was outrageous. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way somebody's gonna be okay with this. But when I looked in the comments, I'm seeing women saying, "Oh,
what was the post now?"
We ain't gotta go too deep into it, but it was an outrageous post about a woman at a gas station.
Okay, yeah, it was retarded.
And so, but it's just like, I'm going into the comments, or whatever, and there's a lot of women saying, "Oh, girl, I love that for you," and they're like encouraging it. And so that's another thing that's doesn't add to that, because if you don't do certain stuff, whatever, oh, you boring, or you bougie, you stuck up.
But I promise, the thing about it is you save yourself so much heartache and pain. It doesn't seem like it, but the people that are saying that, I'm telling you, they are the ones that are very toxic, and they're the ones 9 times out of 10 they haven't leveled up. They're not men. They haven't grown up. Mature wise, they're a level that's way up under you, and you're gonna have to raised them to a certain extent. So why do you want to give yourself to somebody who is not even maturity on a mature level like you? You know what I mean? When you know at the end of the tunnel, this ain't going nowhere. You know, because he's talking about you born. You a grown man. I'm not here to audition. This ain't what?
A lot of people want to be entertained.
I'm not entertaining nobody. Okay.
And so I mean,
what happened?
she said, "Don't forget the poly relationship."
Dominique. Now, why are you doing that? That is not our topic. That is a whole nother subject. I do not understand I do understand, and I hate to say it, as women, when you see these poly relationships, amen, but it took time. When 5 years love you. Okay, I got you, Jackie. I very seldom ever see any poly relationships where there are two men and a woman. Most of them are two women and a man. You know, so what? It's us. If women would get it together, we could change the world. And so what we don't understand is, if you tap into your own value, it's just like driving a Bentley. Pastor Keon Henderson, I think, said this the other day. A Bentley is not worth $500,000, only to the people who feel like it is worth $500,000. You have to tap into what your own value is and what you bring to the table. Because what she brings to the table, I can't bring to the table. And it's somebody looking for what it is that you got. But if everybody looks the same, if everybody's doing the same thing, if everybody's in competition trying to get this one man, what?
Yeah.
Eventually, he gonna wear you down. Your confidence is gonna be worn down. And that's how people start with this poly mess. Who agrees with that? Who does, girl? Bye. I'm not. I'm gonna go on over here and get in my nice little California King and watch some Tubi movies and get me some snacks. Rub my feet together. Because it's not going to happen. It's not going to, I don't care. Listen, Jesus can come back and I will be by myself before I say to myself that I'm going to have, we're going to be sister wives. No, baby. My mother didn't have no more girls. I'm the only girl, and that's how it's going to be. Good evening, Miss Lynn. How are you? Don't share. I hear you, Dominique. We wasn't. We ain't doing that. I ain't even got no words for that one.
I couldn't share as a kid.
What? I didn't do well at that, and so it really shocks me, and it makes me sad. Hey, Sherry, it makes me sad that and I mean, it's beautiful women. It makes me sad that they feel like, oh, I'm okay with that. And they even get to a place where then they have relationships with each other, and all that craziness comes with these spirits that people are intertwining, because that's what's happening. They're dealing with a lot of different spirits, lustful spirit, and with lust comes everything, manipulation and all kind of stuff comes with that. And so you really have to be careful with who you're dealing with. And if you've only known them a couple months, hey, Chris, if you've only known them a couple months, how do you determine whether, I mean, they can have all kind of demons fooling around.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't know it. What you say, oh, bye-bye. What you talking about? Hey, there's your Sunday school teacher, Nigel. Hey, Elder Bernard. And so if as a woman, we go back to the femininity part, and she's clothed with strength and dignity. So dignity keeps you from being in poly relationships. It keeps you from even considering a poly relationship, because a poly relationship only benefits that man that's in the middle.
Yeah. Period.
Because you ain't about to tell me that you going over there. What you say, Vanessa, lust is a total disaster. It is. You're not about to tell me it's Tuesday and it's Shaquan's night. We not. It's y'all crazy night to watch Tubi movies. It's not gonna happen. I just don't. I see somebody getting killed. I really do. And I'm not being funny. Somebody gonna have to go up in here. You know. So with femininity, it keeps you from doing or even thinking about those things. It keeps you at a level where you have a level of respect for yourself that just will not allow you to go that way. And like the Bible says, it's wisdom Not to mention all the mess that's injected into your temple. Yeah, that part. From him and her. You right. They got all kind of spirits jumping off up in there. They need the exorcist trying to get stuff straight now. We don't know why people's crazy. And that's right. Girl, don't come in here acting no clown. I'm going to put some oil on you. I'm going to rub her down. Get her all together. I'm going to be coming up here with these knuckleheads. Ain't nobody got time for this. And then we as parents, we done dealt with, got them grown and get them out the house, and we got to deal with this mess. They been had a baby with somebody and came up here clowning. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. But I wanted to say, I really wish that we could share these videos, these podcasts or whatever, because it makes me sad how, what's the word? How basic that we as women have gotten. You know, we have put ourselves on this basic pedestal. And then we get mad when we come across men who just treat us any kind of way. Number one, when they meet us, when you date somebody, they're already trying to get information. You know, we go to bubblegum land is what I call it. We so glad we got a date. You know, we go to bubblegum land, and he's real handsome and his voice sounds sexy when he's talking or whatever, and you not trying to gather no information. He asking you everything that he can possibly ask you. You ain't asking him nothing. He's asking you these questions so he can see what type of person you are, and he can see what kind of game he get ready to play. And I'm not saying that for all men, but a lot of times it is like that. We don't get to know the real person. People say for 3 months, but I think longer than that. It's people nowadays that can play games for years. You hear me? Yeah. And when I say years, I mean like 30 years. And so would you say no? Because always ask 1,000 questions. And yeah, you should be. Dating is derived from the word data. And so you're supposed to be gathering information. And so if you're dating someone and you don't know how many siblings he got, at least by the second date, we need to have a class on dating and data, because you need to be asking those questions. Where y'all from? Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? You know, those things. How many kids you got? Do you have a wife? That needs to be asked, because men will say, well, she didn't ask me, what was I married? You need to be asking. He might not tell the truth, but at least you did do your due diligence to ask. Do you have a wife? Is there anybody out there who thinks that she's your wife? Things like that. You know, you have to ask those questions, you know. And so a lot of times, being honest, when you're asking all those questions, sometimes that weeds out the bad guys, because they don't want you asking all that stuff. I don't need you to know all that right now. I'm not telling you that right now. I want to know what you got going on, so I can know how to manipulate you. But let's see, how is his relationship with people, period? How smart is he? I mean, all of that. You know, whatever it is that you feel like that you need to know, you need for him to understand, hey, it's going to be some questions going on up in here going forward. This ain't just tonight. This is going forward, because when it don't look right to me, I got to understand. That's what's got to happen. And that's a part of wisdom. That is a part of femininity. So after you put your lashes on and your lipstick and all that stuff on, and you looking real cute, make sure you get your questions together. And if you ain't going to remember, put them in your phone, so that when y'all get out or doing whatever, if you forget something, you know, then he knows, where's my phone at? Because I got a couple questions. I got a couple things that I need to ask. If we had modern technology back in the day, women were not thinking about this years ago. They weren't taught that either. And you're right. We were not taught how to date. And that's why we need to have these conversations and talk to our daughters and let them know the things that we learned that we didn't know, you know, back in the day. Because like they said, it's pee in the pool, and it ain't no reason. Now, of course, there's always going to be females who go against the grain. It's always going to be females who want to be side chicks and all that foolishness. And that just comes from having no self-esteem, no confidence at all. Because why you would want to be, and then they have the nerve to say stuff like, well, yeah, you know, I want to be a side chick because I don't have to be bothered with this and that and the third. And I'm okay if he only comes over once a month. And who does that? They, what? They do that where?
You like being a roach?
Yeah, that part. You know, so we really need to do better where these conversations are concerned, and we need to be open. And femininity allows you to have decent relationships with other women so that you guys can have conversations, because no common sense, that too, Shakira, because you see a lot of crazy stuff on social media where people are going back and forth about some knucklehead man that ain't even talking about nothing. He can't take care of neither one of them, and they arguing back and forth about somebody who ain't even about nothing. Dominique, what you saying? Yeah, I weighed them out. What it say?
Go tomorrow because they tell me, wow, the questions, this ain't a job interview. And she said, you're right. It's goodbye because you do.
Come on, she's in the family.
You're right, it's goodbye.
You're right. Get on out of here with that foolishness. So no, I just don't understand why we're having these. Well, I do understand. I just feel like that everybody, we need to get our weight up. Women need to get their confidence up, and we allow men to tell us things are cute or not cute. And that ain't, no, I don't look cute for you. Number one, I do this is professional what I do. And I do this whether you around or not around, sir. I level up. I'm a boss. I own my own company, whether you around or not around. So with that being said, listen, let's stop the games. I challenge every woman on here to share this video with somebody else, with another young lady, so that we can start a movement that will change the world for the better. Great grandmas and some grandmas dealt with that and told their daughters and granddaughters and the man to be what?
The man's going to be a man.
Oh yeah, that just killed me. That just absolutely kills me when you hear a woman say a man's gonna be a man. Well, to a certain extent, yep, he's gonna be a man. But that's right. You teach him how to treat you, and if he can't do better, then he be a man with somebody else. Because it's just not gonna be that. I just do not understand it. So, in conclusion, in closing, tap into your femininity. Be clothed with dignity and strength, and don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm a pass. I'm gonna move on to something else, because either we believe God or we don't. And men a lot of times will play on that thing that's back in Revelations that said, in the last days there'll be 7 women to every man. Now, do I believe that? To a certain extent, I do. But what I do believe is the women of God who do things the way that God tells them, we're going to be the women with the men. The other women that just standing around talking about that poly stuff or whatever, they'll be the ones that won't have them. And then you see what you say. You get up in the morning and you speak to yourself, and you speak over yourself what thus says the Lord about you, period. And if a man don't line up with what God say about you, he's not the one. Don't waste your time on him. Because I can guarantee you down the road, in a few months, in a year, 30 years, you're going to have some heartache somewhere. So let's do it the way God says to do it. Let's love ourselves enough to say, hey, I ain't lonely like that. I'm not. I'm going to get with my girls and go on out. And can I say this? And this is not directed at nobody. A lot of times when you deal with loneliness, it can be a level of lust in that. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to just be lusting after sex. You can lust after other things. So let's deal with that lust and get that stuff out the way. Because at one time we didn't know nothing about having relationships or whatever. So let's move in a way that's glorifying and edifying to God, so that we can be glorified, so that we can be illuminated, so that he can find us. Because if we're doing the same thing everybody else is doing.
And that's one thing, like, in terms of like singleness and loneliness, it is okay to not be content in your singleness. It's okay to want a relationship. It's okay to want more. The problem is when you start to act on like the loneliness and like the lust and let it consume you, is where the problem comes. Because a lot of people try to tell you, there's been plenty of conversations where I've tried to have with people in terms of like, yes, do I want a man? Yeah, I'm not fiending for one. And people be like, oh, well, self-love. I'm like, I'm with myself every day. I love myself a lot. That still doesn't that doesn't make me not want somebody. And I just have to have the conversation, like, just because I'm single, whatever, doesn't mean that I'm not able to be in a space where I'm like, I don't want to be single. I'm just not acting on it in every chance that I, that is presented to me. It's all about having that type of discernment. It's all about having that just knowledge of yourself.
Yeah, she said, please don't be thirsty about absolutely everything.
Yeah. You gotta have some decorum.
Yeah, that part. I know for me, I love searching about femininity. Esther is one of my most favorite books in the Bible. When I say Esther was bad and she didn't play no games, she didn't play no games. And that story depicts the preparation that is put into a woman. And it talks about her beauty and makeup and fragrances and all these beauty treatments that she had for 6 months in order to be able to go before the king. But what it doesn't say is how it builds a woman up, how it levels her up, and it puts her up on her game for what it is. Esther saved her people, and so a lot of, in today's society, we don't think about anything else but having a man or getting married or whatever. There's plenty of other things that we need to be doing, that we need to be taking care of. Kids we need to be raising, and young girls we need to be examples for, and different things like that. But we put being a wife above everything, and I just don't think that's cool to do that, even though God says it's not good for us to be alone. But we have to be prepared, because the Bible does say he will find a suitable mate, meaning everybody is not for everybody. There is a suitable person for you and for you and for me and for him or whatever. And so with that being said, if you're not prepared for your mate, don't worry about it, because God said there's a suitable mate for all of us. So it's almost 8:30. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. Share the video, make others aware. Go to YouTube, Nichelle, Nichelle the Boss
TV.
No, it's just Nichelle the Boss at YouTube. Please subscribe. I will put the link on my Facebook page. Help us go live on YouTube as well. Go to the website. We've got coaching plans. They'll come out. I don't think it's ready. I need to check it and make sure, but I know it will be ready within the next 2 weeks. You'll be able to go on there anytime, day or night, and take coaching courses for femininity, for self-confidence, and a whole bunch of other stuff that you can take. I think the lowest plan is like $12.99 a month, which is really, really reasonable. You can't get a coach nowhere close for that amount. And then just keep joining us. We're just going to keep coming up with topics that we can talk about. We can make our group bigger and bigger. And this is our group. So if you have a topic that you want to talk about, shoot me an inbox or shoot me an email and let me know. And we'll talk about that. And we welcome your comments like you guys did tonight. I really appreciate it. And I love this. I love to see us women do better. So we'll talk about some entrepreneurial things and all that stuff. But we're going to get it together. We're going to cut all this foolishness out.
Oh, I love you too.
I love you, Dominique, Mashawn. All right, ladies. I will talk to you next week. Have a good night.